Hola amigos, Sean, brand ambassador with Spanish55 here. If you've been studying Spanish for a little while now, you've probably started to realize that it seems like native Spanish speakers speak muy rápido. They speak really fast, okay? In this video, I'm gonna give you some tips on how to better manage that, how to understand, how to listen and understand better, okay? And this is one that really hits home for me because listening of the main language skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, listening was always kind of the toughest one for me, especially when it comes to understanding slang and informal language. So I've obviously improved a lot over the years now, and hopefully I can help you out with it quite a bit as well. The first thing you need to understand, la primera cosa que tienes que entender, the first thing you need to understand is that this is more of a vocab issue than anything else, okay? Es problema del vocabulario. It's a vocabulary problem first and foremost, okay? Yeah, there's an element of it that is about you maybe not understanding certain grammatical structures or certain dichos, right? Dichos are basically like slang expressions or phrases, but first and foremost, it's a vocabulary issue, all right? Because I can almost guarantee, no matter how fast a native Spanish speaker seems to be speaking, if you understand every word that he or she is saying, you are going to understand. Because what usually happens, what happens oftentimes is we miss one or two words, we don't understand one or two words, and then we just get totally lost. We don't recover. It's a vocabulary issue, so you have to improve your vocabulary. Now, however you want to do that is up to you. There are different ways to improve your vocabulary. What I like to do personally is I typically would have vocabulary lists that I go through, new vocab, maybe it's 10 words a day, maybe it's 20 words a day, and I practice speaking those words out loud and in complete sentences, okay? Now, if you have a professor, link below, Spanish55 consult, check it out. If you have a professor can help you improve your vocabulary even faster. But however you do it, you have to work on improving your vocabulary daily in order to be able to improve your listening. Now, when it comes to improving vocabulary, yes, it's about formal vocabulary and it's also about informal vocabulary. And informal vocabulary, in my opinion, should be studied the same way that formal vocabulary is. The great thing about Spanish is that it's a common enough language and the internet is big enough and broad enough nowadays that you can find slang vocab. You can Google, Mexican slang, Venezuelan slang, Cuban slang, whatever it may be, and you will find resources on the internet that are going to give you, what are the top 50 Mexican slang words that you need to know, for example. You will find these resources and then you study it the same way you study formal vocab. It's easy. Also, in terms of improving your understanding of slang or informal language, this is where I give you permission to binge watch Narcos, okay? It's about watching shows, movies, TV series, whatever. Listening to podcasts is great. That typically requires you be even a little bit more advanced. But watch something where they're speaking in slang, okay? How did I improve my Spanish understanding of slang? By watching a lot of telenovelas mexicanas. And it's funny enough, right now, I'm watching El Chapo in Spanish. I'm not using subtitles currently. I'm watching it to improve my Mexican Spanish at the moment. And even for someone like me who has a very high level, when you're listening to something like that and they're speaking like really slang, it helps a lot, right? So find a show that's, appropriate enough for you. Use subtitles in the right way, which I'll come back to in a second. And don't be afraid to just binge watch a show. Now, what about subtitles? You'll hear a lot of things on the internet about you should use subtitles, you shouldn't use subtitles. Okay, here's the way I like to break it down. If you're really still kind of a beginner and you're gonna watch something in Spanish and you have the option to put English subtitles, I recommend that you do put English subtitles to start. Why? Because you're still not at a level where you really understand that much Spanish at all. And so it's really good to just figure out, okay, what are they saying? Get the English subtitles. You're gonna pick up more words this way, in my opinion. Now, once you get to a more intermediate level and you're understanding quite a bit of the Spanish, it's a good idea now to try to watch shows in Spanish with Spanish subtitles. Why? Because you still won't understand everything, especially if they're speaking informally, but you can read Spanish very well. Let's say you're at a level where you only understand 50-60% of what they're saying. You can probably read and understand 80% or even 90%, okay? So you're gonna pick up words and realize, oh, that's what they said there. Now that I read it, I see it and I understand it. The other advantage of this too is that you'll hear some slang terms if the subtitles are good and accurate, and you'll be able to look up, oh, what does that mean? Oh, weird. Oh, echar la hueva. Okay, that means to kick back on the couch, like slang terms, random stuff like that. You can look it up, okay, once you have the subtitles. Now, once you get to a really advanced level, and you're kind of like my level, for example, you can still use subtitles if you want, but then is when it's probably good to go ahead and listen without subtitles. Just watch without subtitles and try to really train your ear to just pick up as much as you can. Now, of course, you should still be trying to interact with people and speak Spanish in one-on-one conversations or in group settings like live, okay, as much as you possibly can, all right? I'm not saying don't do that. Obviously, a lot of this listening involves you at home watching shows or listening to podcasts or whatever, but whenever you get the chance, whether it's in a professional setting or just in a personal setting, if you know someone else who is speaking Spanish or practicing Spanish, habla, practica más y más. Eso va a mejorar tu escucha. That is going to improve your listening the more you practice, okay? And here's another thing about it too, is that there are going to be situations in real life that no matter how much you watch on TV or listen to in podcasts, until you're in like a real life situation, you won't be quite ready for it, okay? Like to give you an example, I was in Mexico City, I'm not sure how many years ago it was, but my Spanish was pretty good at the time and I knew pretty much everything. Like I could listen to the news and understand basically everything, but there are little things in like the way that they say things that I just don't get yet because my street level Spanish wasn't that good. So I'm sitting in the restaurant with a couple friends and I embarrassed myself because the waitress is just simply asking me, I had ordered like a steak or something like that, and she's asking me like, ¿a qué término lo quiere? Basically means, like how would you like it cooked? ¿A qué término? Okay, like the término is like the level kind of, right? And like all I was hearing is like término, like terminar, and I couldn't register it in my head. It's like, how do you want it finished? I'm like, I was like when do you want to finish? Like, what is she saying? Are you finished? I'm like, no, I don't know what to do, right? And like my friend's like, hold on, calmate, calm down, Sean. She's just asking how you want it cooked, okay? Little things like this you probably won't get until you've had a lot of one-on-one interactions with Spanish speakers. Doesn't necessarily have to be traveling to another country, but try to interact as much one-on-one as you can when you get the chance. And the last tip is to try to do what I call digital immersion, immersion digital, okay? What is digital immersion? Digital immersion is essentially when you change everything into Spanish, okay? You change your phone, you change your computer, you change your settings on this and that. You put everything in your digital tech life into Spanish. Adjust your settings and put it into Spanish. That way you're seeing all of these words on a day-to-day basis and you're practicing as often as you can. You're getting it more ingrained into your head. It's very easy to do in the modern world that we live in, okay? Put everything that you can, like I said, start listening to a lot of songs, a lot of podcasts. This is just having fun now. This is one of the great things about language learning is that you're just having fun when you get to the point where you find songs that you like or podcasts that you like or shows that you like, whatever, in Spanish. And what I recommend is try to look for the informal stuff as much as possible. Podcasts are going to be better, especially if you're at a little bit more advanced level than like news, because in news, you're going to hear more formal stuff and you're going to be able to understand the news easier than you're going to be able to understand a full podcast, okay? So seek out those things where they speak a bit more informally as much as you can. Y bueno, espero que esos tips ayuden. I hope those tips help. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you liked it. Subscribe to Spanish55. Once again, click on that link in the description for your consult today, and we will talk again soon. Hasta pronto.